together. And again, this is a lunar eclipse. This is not a solar eclipse, so there's no chance that anyone, including our president, will inadvertently blind himself again. Wow, you know, I was thinking today, what a dumb guy we picked for president. You know how he fired all those federal workers without even knowing what they do? Well, a judge today ordered thousands of them to be rehired just in time for the government to shut down tomorrow. Things are running like a Swiss clock. You know, there was a time when firing people was the only thing Donald Trump was good at.
And why people are not taking him seriously, because you read about it historically in other countries that they didn't take the people around and say, what, we told you so? Or whoever, I told you so? It's going to happen. If he gets elected, it's going to change this country.
Robert Niro and Kimmel just unleashed pure savagery on Donald and Melania Trump live on national TV. Niro was firing off truth bombs like he never left the set of Goodfellas, slicing through Trump's ego like it was butter. Kimmel wasn't far behind. He was roasting Trump so hard the man probably needed SPF 100 just to survive the segment. And Melania? Oh, she wasn't sitting there smiling. Her face looked like she was mentally scrolling through her list of divorce attorneys, trying to figure out which one had the fastest retainer. The whole audience was left either gasping or howling, jaws on the floor as these two tore into the Trumps like it was an all-you-can-eat buffet of comebacks. The only thing missing was Trump rage tweeting in all caps, smashing his phone like it personally offended him. As for Melania, you could practically see her spirit packing its bags and calling an Uber. So what exactly did Niro and Kimmel say that set the whole place on fire? Did Trump's blood pressure hit new records? And is Melania finally one step away from pulling the ultimate disappearing act? Let's break it all down. Donald Trump thought the press gave him a hard time. Little did he know, the real knockout was waiting for him when Robert De Niro and Jimmy Kimmel tag-teamed him like it was WrestleMania. Except this wasn't a title fight. The only thing getting floored was his paper-thin ego. This wasn't your average late-night roast. This was a full-blown Hollywood-level demolition.
Can't fix. Trump has been systematically alienating our allies around the world. Yesterday, he did Ireland. He's going alphabetically. It's screw you, Australia, Britain, Canada, Denmark, France, Germany. Skip the H, went right to Ireland. And you're next, Japan. Oh, he did Japan already? Well, then look out, Korea. You're the one that's next. Today, Trump threatened to put a 200% tariff on alcohol imported from Europe. That includes wine, spirits, and beer from Europe, and that is particularly unfair. He's making it very expensive to get drunk. He's the reason we need to get drunk.
Between you people, don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. Don't talk to. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way.
In all fairness to the former president, is that true? Do you have to use a teleprompter when speaking about President Trump? Or are you able to just kind of riff on your thoughts on him?
He's so stupid.
De Niro and Kimmel came at him with the kind of savage, pinpoint accuracy that would make even Scorsese proud, like two hitmen delivering punchlines instead of bullets. Trump walked in thinking it was another day of easy claps. He left looking like a piñata after a kid's party. Kimmel, always the master of turning late-night shade into full-scale public humiliation, knew this roast wasn't complete without calling in some real muscle. Jokes and zingers were fun, but he wanted the kind of hit that would leave a mark, so he called in the big guns. Enter Robert De Niro. The second De Niro stepped onto that stage, the crowd went absolutely ballistic. You could feel the shift in the room. When the man who spent his entire career playing cold-blooded mob bosses steps up to the mic, you don't expect diplomacy, you expect someone's reputation to get buried 6 feet deep. And De Niro, oh, he wasn't there for light jabs or cheeky wisecracks. He was a man on a mission. Years of pent-up frustration with Trump had built up into one volcanic eruption of pure, unfiltered truth. Each word he dropped was like a verbal uppercut, hammering away at Trump's paper-thin pride until there was nothing left but a pile of splinters and spray tan residue. De Niro showed up to settle scores, and he wasn't leaving until Trump got the kind of roast you don't recover from.
He was in court all day Monday. He was all day yesterday. Today he had a day off. And how did he spend that? Brunch with Melania? No. Maybe a catch with Barron in the yard? No. Santa Claus got up bright and early. to post 165 venomous words about yours truly.
He's a scary one. And in all seriousness, and we know it here, people have to get out and vote and vote and vote and vote.
Yeah. One Chinese. Do you think he pretends to be dumber than he is to confuse people and make them think? No, you think he's...
No, I don't think so.
If you're getting a kick out of this, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because it only gets spicier from here. De Niro, never the type to sugarcoat a single word, went straight for the jugular. He tore through Trump's paper-thin, carefully staged tough guy act like it was wrapping paper on Christmas morning. No script, no filter, just raw, uncut truth. He zeroed in on one of Trump's most laughable weaknesses, his legendary struggle with basic motor skills. De Niro practically sneered as he delivered the line, "Tough guy? Please. This is the same clown who needs 2 hands just to sip water." The room exploded. The crowd couldn't hold it together, laughter echoing off the walls like a comedy club in overdrive. Even Kimmel had to pause, giving the audience room to breathe before swooping in with his own brutal punchline, ready to pile on while Trump's ego was still sprawled out on the floor.
Are they great, or do we need to make them great again and kind of go one by one here?
Oh, he's terrible. He's
great or great again, Jimmy Kimmel?
Well, he's not. He's not. First of all, they all have bad ratings. The one that's the most successful is Greg.
Who? Greg Gutfeld. So Jimmy Kimmel, we got to make him great again.
Jimmy Kimmel's a loser. Look, all they do is talk bad about Trump. That's all. The whole show is talking bad about Trump.
Just when it looked like the verbal beatdown had finally hit its peak, Kimmel swooped back in like a late-night assassin with perfect timing. He didn't just throw a jab, he painted a masterpiece, sketching the ultimate image for the crowd to feast on. Trump, sulking in his tacky, gold-plated palace, rage scrolling on his phone like his life depended on it, his little thumbs probably sweating under the pressure, hammering out an all-caps meltdown so aggressive the phone's screen might have cracked under the weight of his ego. Kimmel didn't miss a beat, delivering the knockout punch. "Somebody find me a way to block De Niro on Truth Social," he mocked, channeling Trump's signature panic. The second the words left his mouth, the crowd erupted all over again, roaring with laughter as Kimmel stood there, smirking like a hitman admiring his handiwork.
I'm going to say one thing. Fuck Trump.
The atmosphere was electric. You could practically feel the air snap with tension. It was like Hollywood's ultimate tough guy, De Niro, had been counting down the years for this exact moment, standing center stage, locked and loaded, ready to tear Trump apart with the precision of a veteran hitman who never misses his mark. But this wasn't just another celebrity running their mouth for clicks. This was decades of raw, bottled-up fury exploding like a soda can that'd been shaken one too many times. And the internet, it didn't just react, it straight up imploded. Trump supporters scrambled for a defense, but the best they could stammer out was a half-baked, "Well, Meet the Fockers wasn't even that good," which only made the burn hit harder. Meanwhile, Trump was probably stomping through Mar-a-Lago, face redder than a lobster, furiously stabbing at his phone screen like he was trying to unlock some secret cheat code in Angry Birds. His aides likely stood frozen, watching in silent horror as he hammered out an all-caps tantrum so incoherent it read like an AI glitching mid-meltdown. Let's be honest. No journalist, no late-night host, no polished politician had ever dished out this kind of brutal, unfiltered, gloves-off takedown. This wasn't just a roast. This was De Niro channeling full-on raging bull energy, unloading years of disgust on a man who built his entire empire on smoke, mirrors, and gold-plated furniture. It felt like a Hollywood blockbuster, except this wasn't a movie, and the villain wasn't fictional. He was doom-scrolling Twitter in real time, fuming like a cartoon character, seconds away from blowing steam out of his ears.
You and I have something in common. We have both been immortalized on social media by our former president, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
We have, I think this might have been the first time he wrote about you. Robert De Niro, a very low IQ individual, has received he spelled two wrong, many shots to the head by real boxers in movies. I watched him last night, truly believe he may be punch drunk. And then he says, at the end, he says, "Wake up, punchy," he says.
For a man who built his entire brand around always having the last word, the silence that followed was almost surreal. Trump? Silent? The world practically hit pause, holding its breath like a live-action cliffhanger, waiting for the inevitable social media meltdown to hit. And sure enough, right on cue, his thumbs locked in and the tantrum began. The digital eruption was as predictable as it was pathetic. In classic Trump fashion, the insults were straight out of a broken record. De Niro, washed up nobody. Kimmel, total loser. The whole roast, rigged, fake. But just when you thought he'd emptied the tank of recycled comebacks, he cranked the cringe up a level and suddenly crowned himself a film critic. According to the guy whose biggest cinematic achievement was stumbling through a 7-second cameo in Home Alone 2, De Niro's masterpieces, Raging Bull, Casino, The Irishman, were apparently trash. The internet couldn't eat it up fast enough. Social media flooded with side-by-side comparisons that were so brutal they felt like a second roast. De Niro, holding Oscars and cementing his legacy as one of Hollywood's greatest. And Trump, standing awkwardly in the background of a family comedy for all of 7 seconds, playing the role of random guy who points. And just when you thought the saga had finally burned out, Hollywood tossed another log on the fire. Another glitzy event, another room packed with celebrities, and another fired-up De Niro ready to unleash another barrage of ruthless punches. If Trump was holding on to any hope that this feud would quietly fade away, he was out of luck. The gloves weren't just off, they'd been tossed out the window, and the hits were only getting harder. Under the blinding glow of those studio lights, Kimmel was in his element, soaking it all in like a comedian who just hit the jackpot. His late-night stage had officially transformed into a 5-star roast pit, hotter than a 4th of July barbecue, and the main course? None other than Donald Trump, served up extra crispy. Kimmel didn't just toss a few jokes his way, he dedicated an entire monologue to Trump's nuclear-grade meltdown, turning it into a masterclass in precision comedy and brutal takedowns. And because Kimmel's appetite for entertainment knows no limits, he cranked the heat up even more by dragging a real, certified film critic onto the set. The mission? Highlight the absurd gap between Robert De Niro's legendary Hollywood resume and Trump's, well, let's call it a blink and you'll miss it acting career, which pretty much peaked at barking orders at confused celebrities on reality TV. With perfect comedic timing, Kimmel delivered the line that brought the house down. "One of these men has an Academy Award," he said, pausing just long enough for the crowd to brace for the punchline. The other once dramatically fired Meatloaf on a reality show. The audience didn't just laugh, they erupted, the kind of laughter you'd expect if someone announced student loan debt had been wiped off the planet. The sheer absurdity of the comparison had the entire room doubled over, and Kimmel kept the punchlines rolling like he was spinning the loosest slot machine in Vegas. Trump's meltdown wasn't just entertainment gold, it was the gift that kept on giving. Enough material to keep late-night TV fed for weeks. Meanwhile, somewhere in the gaudy halls of Mar-a-Lago, a certain someone was no doubt pacing in circles, thumbs pounding his phone like it had personally betrayed him, eyes glassy, probably searching for the caps lock button through the tears of another bruised ego.
Remember the Academy Awards, I said how he's the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards, and this stupid guy goes up, and just before the Best Picture of the Year, the show is almost over. They're waiting for the Best Picture of the Year. He gets up and he says, and his wife said, "Please don't do it. Please, darling, don't go out." His manager said, "Don't do it. I have to do it." He goes out and reads my truth to the entire audience right before the prime time, the Best Picture. And it said basically, he is the worst host of the history. He reads the whole thing. And then I think he said something like, "Ha, ha, ha, he thinks he bothers me," or some crap like that. I said, he's one of the dumbest human beings ever. He should have listened to his wife. What a dope.
At first, it seemed like just another quick jab from the world of celebrity, the kind of thing that grabs a few headlines, sparks a couple of tweets, and then vanishes into the ether. But this is Hollywood, where we thrive on sequels, and what began as a single roast quickly turned into a multi-episode saga. Before you could even blink, A-listers were piling on like it was the most chaotic award show after party. Stephen Colbert didn't waste any time, dedicating an entire segment to what he called a masterclass in public freakouts, complete with slow-motion replays that made Trump's meltdown look like a tragic comedy. Seth Meyers, never one to miss an opportunity to roast, took Trump's Truth Social tantrum and delivered it like he was auditioning for the Royal Shakespeare Company. He hit every pause, every gasp, and every tragic stare with the kind of dramatic flair that would have made even the bard blush. But the fun didn't stop there. The musicians smelled the sweet scent of opportunity in the air, and within hours, some DJ with too much time on his hands had transformed De Niro's fiery speech into an absolute club banger, complete with auto-tuned outrage and a bass drop so heavy it could have shaken Mar-a-Lago to its foundation. TikTok went absolutely wild. The app flooded with remixes, with one featuring a gospel choir belting out "Sad Little Man" that became an instant sensation. Broadway wasn't far behind. Rumors swirled that Lin-Manuel Miranda was already drafting Trump the Musical with a wig-wearing puppet as the lead and a chorus of ex-lawyers backing him up. If anyone had any doubt about the staying power of this roast, it was clear. This was no fleeting moment. This was a full-scale cultural movement, and everyone from comedians to DJs to Broadway stars wanted in on the action.
We're in a very bad situation. I remember you and I about 5-6 years ago talking. I'm down at the Spring Studios. Something about, I said, what just happened just happened. No, it didn't. It didn't happen. It's all about truth. And what we have here is a denial of truth all over the place. And even the speech that he made after is insane. It's just insane, and I'm very, very concerned about it. I think we all are. It's insane. So that's why I felt I had to do something, say something about it.
Trump, he wasn't about to just sit back and let this slide. No, he did what he does best, went full keyboard warrior mode. Suddenly, the man who had claimed to be completely unbothered was firing off posts like a teenager after their first heartbreak. Each rant was more intense than the last, escalating from mildly irritated to a full-blown digital tantrum that could have used its own soundtrack. Perhaps some dramatic violin music to underscore the chaos. But here's the real kicker. De Niro didn't even have to lift a finger. No comeback, no statement, not even a single follow-up insult. The man simply showed up at a red carpet event, flashed a tiny, knowing smirk, and that was all it took to send Trump spiraling even further into madness. It was like watching a cat toy with a laser pointer, effortless yet deeply amusing to anyone watching. Meanwhile, the internet was having an absolute field day. Memes flooded timelines, each one dissecting every unhinged post, every exaggerated exclamation point, and every unnecessary capitalization Trump threw out there. You could practically hear the collective laughter reverberating across social media as the world took in his meltdown. At one point, it felt like Trump was arguing with himself, yelling insults into the void while De Niro sat back, sipping his espresso, completely unbothered. In the end, it wasn't even a contest. It was a one-sided performance, starring Trump as the guy screaming into the abyss, while De Niro relaxed and enjoyed the free entertainment. And honestly, that smirk of his, yeah, it deserved an Oscar.
Do you think our democracy is at risk in this election?
I think that it is. I always keep saying democracy is great, of course. But democracy people take for granted. It's a word that some people don't even understand. They take it for granted. It's about right and wrong, period. The guy's a monster. He is beyond wrong. It's almost like he wants to do the most horrible things that he can think of in order to get a rise out of us. I don't know what it is, but he's been doing it, and it's scary.
Are you
Excuse my French.
At this point, the only real question left was, just how absurd would Trump's next outburst be? Would he claim that De Niro was secretly envious of his on-screen charisma? Or maybe he'd go full delusion and announce that he was originally cast as the lead in The Godfather, but graciously turned it down because, America needed him more. The possibilities for his next over-the-top rant were as limitless as they were comically bizarre. Meanwhile, rumors were swirling faster than wildfire. Word on the street was that SNL had already started crafting a parody, and it wouldn't be surprising if De Niro himself showed up in a surprise role. If that happened, get ready for a social media storm of apocalyptic proportions. We're talking all-caps rants, misspelled insults, and a bizarre claim that Trump once gave Lorne Michaels career advice. By the time the closing credits rolled, the entire country would be knee-deep in yet another Trumpian spectacle. Maybe a rant about how De Niro was overrated. SNL was a total disaster, and Hollywood had lost its golden touch since Home Alone 2, which of course, he'd remind everyone he was in. One thing was for certain, whatever came next, it would be unintentionally funnier than anything SNL could script. And that, my friends, is saying something. In the online world, it was absolutely unhinged. Memes flooded every corner of the internet. Deepfakes sprang up like digital mushrooms after a rainstorm. and the absurdity reached levels that could only be described as Olympic caliber. It was like a cyberpunk comedy special, chaotic, dramatic, and completely impossible to look away from. The internet was basically a wild digital circus. Would De Niro fire back? Would he deliver yet another Oscar-worthy rant? Or had he already won simply by existing and driving Trump into yet another glorious meltdown? At this point, De Niro could breathe in Trump's general direction, and it would probably trigger a 2 a.m. all-caps post on Truth Social. The man could do nothing and still win. One thing became crystal clear: this battle was far from over. Why? Because Trump holds grudges tighter than a raccoon holds onto a stolen sandwich, meaning he never lets go. His ability to hold on to a beef is downright supernatural, like a grandma holding on to expired coupons, convinced there's still value in them. This wasn't just a feud. This was an ongoing Broadway production, with new acts every time Trump found Wi-Fi and a fresh reason to be offended. De Niro had officially set up shop in Trump's head, rent-free, with an infinity lease. As long as Trump had thumbs and an internet connection, you could bet your last dollar this saga would continue. Because if there's one thing Trump does better than real estate, it's holding on to a grudge like it's a gold-plated limited edition trophy. With his name misspelled, of course. De Niro and Kimmel? They were still dropping bombs, leaving no doubt that Trump wasn't walking away without another chaotic meltdown. The real question was, would he fumble it again? And let's be real, the answer was probably yes. Meanwhile, Hollywood was sharpening its comedic knives, just waiting for the perfect moment to strike. If SNL pulled off a De Niro-Trump sketch, you could bet Trump would be glued to his TV, furiously typing out another 3:00 a.m. rant like a man possessed. And the internet? It was absolutely feasting. More memes, more jokes, and undoubtedly an AI-generated clip of Trump auditioning for Goodfellas. Because of course, that's exactly where the whole thing was heading. The world was watching, popcorn in hand, eagerly waiting for the next absurd twist in what had officially become the most bizarre Hollywood politics crossover event in history. As the saga continues to unfold, one thing's for sure: we're all just here for the ride. De Niro, Kimmel, and Trump have turned this whole thing into a never-ending spectacle that's both chaotic and endlessly entertaining. The jokes, the rants, the memes, it's a whirlwind of pure absurdity, and we're all stuck in the front row. Who knows what's coming next, but you can bet the internet will be there, laughing at every twist and turn. So, if you're loving the madness, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Let's keep this wild ride going, because the craziness isn't over yet. Stay tuned for the next round, because when it comes to these three, you never know what's coming next.